The overall design of this phone remains similar to its predecessor, the Galaxy M20, but Samsung has made several improvements with the Galaxy M21. The 1080p OLED notch display is now 6.4 inches, up from 6.3 inches. The phone will be available in black and blue. Internally, the specs are also improved. The Galaxy M21 features a faster Exynos 9611 processor. The RAM and internal storage of its base model have increased to 4GB and 64GB. On its rear, there are now 3 cameras rather than 2, thanks to the addition of a new 8MP ultra-wide camera alongside the 5MP depth sensor. The resolution of the main sensor has also been bumped up from 13 to 48 megapixels. The selfie camera now features a 20MP sensor, up from 8MP. There's also a rear-mounted fingerprint sensor, a USB Type-C port, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. This phone packs a big 6000 mAh battery with 15W fast battery charging support. Doing well in the Indian market is important for Samsung, especially after India had surpassed the US to become the second largest smartphone market in the world. However, Samsung's market share in the country declined between 2018 and 2019. Samsung released this phone to win back buyers from Chinese rivals, whose phones have stolen market share from the world's largest handset maker. It's been just over a month since we heard about the Samsung Galaxy S20 series, but the company isn't done. It has just unveiled a new handset in the form of the Galaxy A31. The Samsung Galaxy A31 isn't hugely different to the Galaxy A30 from 2019, but it comes with a few upgrades that you may find you will want for your next smartphone. The phone sports a 6.4-inch Super AMOLED display that has a fingerprint sensor embedded into it rather than opting for a physical one on the rear. The screen is 20:9 aspect ratio and the resolution is Full HD+. The rear of the phone is glass and it comes with either black, blue, red or white. We don't know the exact chipset you will find in the phone. The company called it an octa-core, but that's about all. You will have 4GB or 6GB of RAM depending on what version of the phone you opt for. The smaller RAM comes with 64GB of storage while the larger comes with 128GB. Plus there's a microSD card up to 512GB if you want to expand that. There's a notch at the top of the display that houses a 20MP selfie shooter. On the rear of the phone is a quad camera setup that includes a 48MP main sensor along with the 8MP ultra-wide, 5MP depth and 5MP macro lens. The handset has a 5000 mAh battery, which is the same size as you would find in the far more powerful Galaxy S20 Ultra. It comes with 15W fast charging support. Samsung has demonstrated that it still sees great potential in the lower end of the smartphone market by taking the wraps of the Galaxy A41, which is the latest mid-range smartphone from the company, which could go a long way towards making you feel like you have got a top-of-the-line Galaxy phone without costing nearly so much as the flagships. The Galaxy A41 has a 6.1-inch screen that called an Infinity U AMOLED display, which isn't as fancy as the likes of the Galaxy S20 but should still look pretty great for the price. Probably the biggest selling point for the phone is that it offers IP68 water and dust resistance, which is a rarity in the mid-range segment. In fact, it's not unheard of to find flagship phones without the feature either. The rest of the phone is distinctly mid-range at best. It got a competent and budget-focused Helio P65 chipset according to GSM Arena. This is supported by 4GB of RAM, 64GB of expandable storage. You can expect a smooth performance when scrolling and gaming. The Samsung Galaxy A41 also seemed to deliver in the camera arena, packing a 48MP primary camera, 8MP ultra-wide shooter and a 5MP depth sensor. Selfies are handled by a 25MP camera in the water drop notch. You can record 4K video at 30fps. Pictures taken with the camera delivers good quality. You can see good details and color accuracy. It is backed with a 3500 mAh battery that has 15W fast charging. This smartphone sports a big 6.4-inch displays with water drop notch, which Samsung calls Infinity U displays. The bezels aren't thin but are acceptable for the price. Just like with other M series smartphones, Samsung has used plastic in the construction of the Galaxy M31. The earpiece is sleek and it sits right above the display in the frame of the smartphone. The Galaxy M31 feels comfortable to hold in the hand. The sides are slightly curved, which helps with grip. Samsung has positioned the power and volume buttons on the right of the device. The Galaxy M31 has a 3.5mm headphone jack, primary microphone, USB Type-C port and a speaker at the bottom. Samsung has retained the Exynos 9611 chipset from the Galaxy M30s. This is an octa-core processor with great performance. For graphics, it has the Mali G72 GPU. You get 6GB of RAM and a choice between a 64GB storage variant and a 128GB of storage variant. The device is fairly quick to load up apps, however, big apps do take slightly longer. Since there is plenty of RAM, multitasking is very easy. The Galaxy M31 sports a quad camera setup at the back and a single 32MP selfie shooter. The primary camera on the Galaxy M31 has a 64MP resolution and 1.8 aperture. There is also an 8MP ultra-wide-angle camera with a 120° field of view. The other two are 5MP depth sensor and a 5MP macro camera. Samsung's camera app is the same as before. Photos turned out well and have decent details. The smartphone enables HDR automatically if required. Switching to the wide-angle camera is easy and you can get a wider field of view. This phone is capable of separating subjects and backgrounds when shooting close-ups. Photos taken in low light looked good. Rear camera can record 4K video at 30fps. There is a single 32MP camera on the front. Selfies taken with the Galaxy M31 were decent when shot with sufficient lighting around. The front delivers good quality pictures all around. You can also record 4K video with the front camera. M31 packs in a big 6000mAh battery with 15W fast charging support.